Hey everybody, it's Aaron, and welcome back to another episode of Learn Stuff. And today I'll be going over the Shlabovian Conflict Mission 4. So I made another video that was the development of Mission 4, and I ended up trashing it because I, through testing, changed the mission so much that it pretty much wasn't the same mission that I made the video about, and I didn't want to then deconstruct everything just to reconstruct it to make the video. So I'll just go over everything I've got and show you what I have so I don't have to do that. So I've got a few friendlies, a bunch of enemies. Main targets are going to be the Mad 4s and the SAMs. There are 25 total, and the player has to take out 80%, so that'll be 20. And during testing, I've got numbers all the way from 17 to 24, trying to gun for all 25, but I never hit all 25. So I think it's doable for newer players, and more advanced players will honestly probably find it relatively easy. Still not really sure about the whole what is difficult, what isn't difficult. I'll get the measure of that. I mean, aside from putting a ridiculous amount of SAMs or anything else that shoots long range missiles at you and just then putting a lot of them because it just doesn't make sense. Okay, so what we have is our unit starting out here about 50 miles off the coast, and so they're going to all fly up in the air and then come up to this split waypoint. And I've got a ton of waypoints, by the way. A few waypoints, I suppose. And I've also got some paths carved out as well for people to follow. The boats, everybody else as well. So the guys get here, and then everybody splits and goes to their own city. So there's 6 units, there's 6 cities, so everybody goes to their own little city area, which makes it kind of convenient. So as it said though, some units are already set up, like you'll see 1 or 2 SAMs over here, while these Mad 4s are mobile still. SAM set up here, Mad 4s are mobile, and everything on the close enemy side is just all set up. So then the other thing I have is a combat air patrol, and then I've got 2 on Ready 5, X-ray on Ready 5, a Tango up in the air already. And the nice thing is I've done a randomization for which way they go. So I've got a counterclockwise and a clockwise combat air patrol path, and it randomly picks which one of these that they fly at the start of the mission. So we'll kind of cover that briefly too. So we'll just start off with the events. I've just got the basic initialized that I've gotten all my missions. It just, again, makes it easy to kick stuff off. I've got an end timer here. The player is 20 minutes, so that we don't want them to run forever. So I've been at that mark during testing too, where it's like I got 18, fail. Oh, so it works really well too if you happen to be moving a little bit slower. So it does add in that nice sense of difficulty. And so I hope the players read the brief, because I don't mention it in the verbal, so hopefully they're just not powering through these mission briefings. Anyway, so I've got a few triggered events. Just some basic stuff to kind of trigger flow and motion and setting waypoints. Tell the player to take off, set some stuff. I disable this so it can't fire again. Tell the friendlies to pick priority targets. What happens when the friendlies shoot their radars down? What happens when they get detected? What happens when I get detected? This I actually kick on after we get the kill objective, because when the player goes to land, they have to land back on the carrier. If they just barely skirt off the deck and the plane doesn't blow up. They'll just be sitting there in the water. So the fact that the objective was to land on the carrier and you landed in the water, so we'll say that's a fail. So actually how I do that is just half a meter. Seemed to work well in mission 3. So I'm going to leave it here, but the thing is, notice it's disabled and that we only want to enable it at a certain time. So then I've just got a couple other things done, and then some really specific events for each player to say, all right, once Romeo 1 finish his designated target run of his 5 or 6 targets or whatever he has, he should go help everybody else. So all the other targets are marked as designated targets in this grouping of 29 targets. So he just rushes out and fights everybody that he possibly can. So all the units do that though. So those are all my triggered events. And one thing I should mention too, thinking about my triggered events, because when I was trying to figure out why this wasn't firing, I actually originally had Romeos, all of them, without engage enemies on, because I thought without engage enemies on they would still attack designated targets and not random targets, but that's not the case at all. So if you don't have engage enemies checked, regardless of whether you designate high value targets for them to go after, they still won't attack them. So make sure you have that checked. I thought this was more of like just, engage everybody around you see that's a bad guy without me having to give you orders. But apparently it's a little bit more than that. All right, so then let's take a quick peek at the objectives. So this is the 80% bomb mark where I picked all my available 25 targets and I want them to have to kill 20. So here's everything that has to occur and yada yada yada. Guys at this point hopefully get basic objective management. So then after they kill everybody, so as a prereq they got to do this, but then afterwards you got to land back on the carrier because it's a part of the story. And that kind of covers it for everything here. Again, it's always just people flying paths or anything like that. Oh yeah, the thing that I should show you, because I didn't quite get or why it wasn't working at first. So when I go to my initial trigger, I've got this combat air patrol fly path randomly. So what I do is I have this thing at a 40% chance, and here's why. Because when I had it at 50, like seriously, I tested the thing like 20 times during testing, just at like restart, and it always chose counterclockwise. It always chose the true condition just 100% of the time, and I didn't want that because it felt like if my testing was going to be like that, then I wanted the players to not experience that. So I lowered it to 40, tested it a little bit, and now like every other time to every other 3 or 4 times, it'll switch between clockwise and counterclockwise to kind of change the dynamic up in case the player's playing the mission again. Because trust me, the direction in which combat air patrol is going definitely can dictate how the mission will progress. So some of that randomization that's in there helps with the everything works the same all the time. But even without putting randomization in, there's a lot of variables to gameplay with everything. So even during testing, things are just never quite the same. So that's kind of the basic overview of the mission. There was so much tweaking to get everything to work right. But I finally got it to work right. Things were just weird and didn't work out at all. And like I said, I tried to make a video for 4. And also I do apologize that I didn't make a video for 3 because it was so simple, that you just start out and then you land on a carrier in the ocean. Like it goes with my story. It's just kind of a prep thing. But I struggled with it at first. I still kind of do. I'm getting the landings down a little bit, but so it just takes practice, like most things in this game. But keep practicing it, and you'll get better. And I hope the fact that I didn't use night carrier-based landings will deter anybody from playing the Shlabovian Conflict. I struggled with it at first, honestly. It was difficult, but a few tries later and some pointers from some people in Discord, and I'm all straight now. So this all should be about complete, I believe, and it should be in the Steam Workshop here sometime soon. Alright guys, so go check out the Shlabovian Conflict in the Steam Workshop for VTOL VR. I'll see you guys next time.